Thank you to Brittany and to the Creative Mornings team, and thank you again to the Central Library for hosting. You know, I got to suggest venues, and this is one of my favorite places in Indianapolis, so I'm so excited to be here and to be here with you all. So thank you again. I am Andrea Hunley, and I am an educator. I live here in Indianapolis. I live downtown, about a mile away from the school that I'm principal at. Prior to becoming a principal, I was a teacher at one of the largest high schools in Indianapolis. I taught high school English, so reading and writing and literacy are something that are very dear and close to my heart. So this morning, we are going to talk about ethics. We're going to talk about you all as a creative community, and we're going to talk about your obligation to support your public schools. But first, I want to talk about you. And I want to talk about what your mission is. Now, my mission every single day is to put children first. To put children first so that they can realize their passions, their potential, and their purpose. What I do is be a principal, but why I do it is because of my mission. So what we do is not as important as why we do it. So I want you to think about that for a minute, and I want you to think about what your goal is each and every single day. What's that mantra that gets you going in the morning? That piece that you think about when people say, why are you a designer? Why are you a videographer? What's your why? So we're going to do something in school that we call a turn and talk, and that is that in just a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn to the person sitting next to you. I'm going to ask you to talk to them, to tell them your why. Why do you do what you do? And then I'm going to pull us back together. I'll do a backwards count, 3, 2, 1, and we'll come back together. Right, you guys were all in school at some point, so this should be kind of familiar. Okay, so I want you to turn to the person sitting next to you, introduce yourself if you don't know them, and share your why. Why do you do what you do each and every day? Okay. All right, we're going to come back together in 3, in 2, and in 1. So your why is your ethical compass. Your why is what keeps you centered. It's what keeps you focused. I heard some of you say things like, I advocate. You know, maybe I'm an advocate for bees, or I'm an advocate for people who don't have a voice. I heard some of you say I educate. Maybe it's that I educate people about sustainable living, or it's that you tell stories, or you're helping others by making design accessible for them. Your why is what shields you from all of that turbulence that attempts to throw you off course. And that turbulence, those are those ethical dilemmas. For me, it's adults who attempt to throw me off course, not kids. It's those helicopter parents that I'm sure that none of you are or will ever be. It's those folks at the State House who think that they know how to run a schoolhouse. It's those adults that try to get in the way of my mission of putting children first. Now, let's talk about our collective mission. I'm preaching to the choir here when I say that it's important for us to come together as a community. You all are here because you love Indianapolis, right? We love our city, and we love turning our city into a community. We feel like it's our mission and our ethical responsibility to do good in our community and to make sure that we leave it better. I know that that's why each and every one of you at the core does what you do each and every day, right? Do good in our community, leave it better. And so I'm going to tell you about how our strong communities begin with strong schools. Now, I know that many of you in this room don't even have children who are in school. So you might say, why should I support our public schools? I don't even have kids. Or you may say, I pay my taxes. Shouldn't that be enough? Or I'm busy working, so I don't have time to support our public schools. But here's what we have to remember. In the US, every single child has a right to a free and appropriate public education. And so we have a duty as a community to uphold that right. It takes all of us working together to do that, not just folks who are in working with students each and every day. And so that also, though, doesn't mean that we need to support schools for a righteous reason. I think that that's something that tends to turn educators off. We don't want anyone coming in to save those kids and those schools, but we need to support our schools because it will benefit us as a community. So we need to do it not for them, but we need to do it for us because supporting public schools makes us stronger. So right now, not far from here, in fact, in my school that I'm skipping this morning to be here, there are children in our classrooms who will be the next mayor, who will be the next chef in a 5-star restaurant in Indianapolis. We have the next tech startup founder and her angel investor sitting in our classrooms right now. We are teaching children how to be prepared for jobs that do not yet exist in fields that do not yet exist. That's powerful work. And that powerful work that's happening in your public schools is what's going to make our community that much better and that much stronger. There's this reciprocal relationship that has to happen between the community and the schools. But if seeing cute pictures of kids isn't enough to convince you, I'm going to talk about the numbers a little bit, okay? I happen to be a bit of a numbers person myself. So here are the numbers in Marion County. 153,000 children attend 238 public schools in Marion County alone. So that's the greater Indianapolis area. That's a lot of community members. That's a critical mass, 153,000 kids. And these kids are already doing things to support you all. The kids at my school, I'm at the Center for Inquiry, it's a magnet school in IPS, and the kids at my school have a global focus to do better for the world community, but they do really small things each and every day to support. Our third graders go out and they choose an organization that they want to be a part of to make it better. So they will work with the Wheeler Mission, they work with Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, they work with Indy Reads. These little people do that. It's great, right? But then we have that duty to, give back to them as well as they're working to give to our community. There's also a major economic impact too. But we know that the economic impact doesn't come until when students graduate, so after they graduate. So we look at the graduation rate to help us determine that economic impact. So in 2013, our graduation rate in Marion County was roughly 82%. If that had increased to 90%, the difference would be dramatic for our community. It would have given us an additional $1.6 million in tax revenue. That's just an additional 3,150 kids to graduate. And we would have seen a $76 million increase in home sales. There would have been 350 more new jobs that would have been created in our community. 3,000 kids. So if each of us mentored a child, one child, and got them to graduate, 2 children and got them to graduate, the power would be not only economical, but also truly impactful for those children and for their lives. Those 3,000 children who didn't graduate would have been able to contribute $64 million in revenue to our annual gross regional product. So, we often talk about like the GDP at the national level, but here, just in Indianapolis alone for our regional product, the impact is $64 million. So my small business folks, those are the dollars that are created locally that then go into your pockets locally. And again, that's just from the kids graduating. So the best economic stimulus package is a high school diploma. Education matters, and our public schools matter. Do you know that 80% of people in jail in the US are high school dropouts? High school dropouts cost taxpayers $292,000 over the course of their lifetime. What if we took that money and put it into our kids' K-12 education right away? That's where you all can have impact, right? And when you're voting for our legislatures and when you're advocating as well for putting money into K-12 public education. I would much rather put money into a third grader than to pay for, someone who drops out and because they didn't have the support that they needed while they were in school. So let's talk about ways that you can support. Yes, you. Isn't this cool? Yeah, that's you guys. Yeah. So there are 3 different ways that you can support: by giving of your time, by giving of your talent, or by giving of your treasure. So I'm going to tell you a little story about a student who I'm going to call Sarah. She's in my middle school right now, and she qualifies as homeless. Now, to qualify as homeless, that simply means that your family doesn't have a permanent address. So Sarah couch surfs. She, might sleep on the couch at an aunt's house one week, at a friend's house another. But because of community partnerships, because of people just like you, Sarah is able to be on our basketball team. Now, how many of you in here were a student athlete in some way, participated in a sport, okay? So we know the importance of athletics in building confidence, in building character, and building those grit skills, that perseverance. So we have a community partnership with Citizens Energy, and they help to support our basketball uniforms, our sports uniforms. So because of that partnership, folks donating of their treasure, Sarah's able to participate in basketball. Then we've got folks, community members, who give of their time by being referees. They give 3 to 5 hours a week reffing, middle school and high school basketball games. And yes, they get paid. It's modest, like $60 a game. They don't do it for the money, but they do it so that children can have this opportunity. And then we've got folks who are giving of their talent as well, the coaches who come in. Many local businesses, small businesses, will allow their employees to leave work early a day or 2 a week to go and coach a basketball team. And thank goodness that they do. We've got several small law firms in town who allow their lawyers, their folks on staff, to come and coach. That's critical. And so all of those pieces, all of those people in our community working together are lifting up Sarah so that she can play sports, so that she can then be able to contribute successfully to her community. That's going to help her graduate. That's going to help her be a contributing member to our community. That's powerful. There are many other organizations and businesses, several of them that you all in this room also represent, who give of their time, talent, and treasure. Last year, Salesforce donated 500 volunteer hours to IPS. That's huge. I walked outside one day at my school, and I had folks from Keep Indianapolis Beautiful and folks from Salesforce working in our gardens to beautify that area so that when students come in each day, they are excited and proud of where they're at, and that they also have an outdoor classroom space that they can go to during the day, right? And that was Salesforce saying, this is important to us. It's important for us to give back to our community. Amy McAdams and Second Street Creative teamed up together to give of their talent. They redesigned Center for Inquiry Schools branding. We are now opening a 4th school this year. We have a cohesive brand, which we were able to use to promote our schools out in the community. And because we're adding new students into IPS, those are real dollars then that get brought into our school district that help all kids. So designers who are helping the schools then allow the schools to help the students, and the students will then be able to help the community. Again, it's that whole reciprocal relationship, that's happening. And then we've got, folks like Jen Hoffman, who's the CEO at Pivot Marketing. She sits on the board of the IPS Education Foundation. She doesn't have kids in IPS, but she knows that she brings a unique perspective and a unique talent that she can contribute to sitting on that board. And so she does that. So folks who represent businesses, big and small, are contributing. One of my favorite groups of folks are the merchants along Mass Ave. all the shops along Massachusetts Avenue. And each year they allow my students to come and carol, Christmas carol during holiday hoopla. And so our kids get to, be a part of the community and spread holiday cheer, and my teacher brings out his big tuba and plays up and down the avenue. And but we have, so the Mass Ave merchants then donate $150 back to our music program as a thank you, when really we should be thanking them for the experience. But that $150, which sounds like small potatoes, allows us to buy recorders for all of our fourth graders. Now you guys remember, annoying your parents, playing hot cross buns on the recorder, learning how to read music, right? So that's powerful. It's powerful for our students that we're able to do that. So, it's important to note that supporting public schools is not some socialist notion. It's good business, and it's being a good human. Supporting our public schools as a member of our community, as a person who recognizes the strength of public schools, is critical. So it's critical for us, it's critical for you all, it's critical for me as a parent, but also as a principal, that as a community, we uphold our moral responsibility and our ethical responsibility to support our public schools. Thank you.